Thanks for giving me this time to give my interview. And you said that we'll talk about computers, right? About this technology history project.
Yes, sir.
And my first question is, when did you got aware of computers?
Okay. First time that I was aware or utilized computers was probably back in the mid to late 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
As a not on the job, I worked for an aircraft company, but in my job I really didn't use them. But I bought a Commodore. I remember the name of it now, Commodore 64. It was a very simple computer. Um, my wife and my children were young at that time, but we basically used it as a family computer to learn a little bit about it. Very, very simple, basic games, computations, that type of thing. When I came here in 1988, we didn't use computers as far as faculty. I believe it was probably about 10 years later, in the late 1990s, that we first started using computers. And it was basically for word processing as well as communication with students. We got into the internet into the early 2000s. So the initial use was basically communication and text writing, that type of thing.
So when you first used the computers, do you faced any problems?
Relative to problems, it was new to me. Back in college, back in the 1970s, I had some program classes in BASIC, but that was a little different. Uh, I can't really say. Just learning the terminology, learning, how to utilize it. And again, I wasn't doing any really design work, nothing real complex.
Okay.
Basically, Word documents and communicating with students and faculty. So no problem really.
No problem. You said no problem, right?
Right.
So, what type of social do you use social networking or video conferencing using computers?
Video conferencing.
Yeah.
Uh, not. I probably have on occasion. Not so much here in my office, but uh, relative to talking to groups, professional groups, when we had faculty openings relative to being on a committee to hire new faculty and staff, interdistance communication where you can communicate with them and see them. I've done some of that, not so much in my job. As far as IDL, interdistance learning, I've done a little bit of that, but not too much.
Okay. So, do you use emailing? Do you think emailing is advantageous for you?
Okay,
Yeah.
emailing.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely, I mean, I think I've been a pretty good communicator over the years. In the past, you
Oh,
had to use a phone, right?
yeah.
You wrote letters. So obviously, with email, you can communicate much more quickly. That's good, that part of it. But the part that bothers me is a lot of times where we could be communicating face to face, we're still using emails or phones, and I don't like that myself. I like communicating when I can face to face. You're missing something, but don't get me wrong. Overall, emails can be an advantage. Relative to my emails, there's so much spam, and I do have spam filters, but even then, I spend a lot of time having to delete
Yes.
much of my mail. That's the part I don't like.
Okay.
There's just a little bit too much information. So it can be a very good tool. You just need to know how to manage it and have discipline how you use it.
So, you worked in industries, right?
I worked in industry. Is that what you're
So,
asking?
yeah. So, uh,
Okay, go.
what is the use of computers in those industries?
Now, myself, when I was in industry from 1980,
Okay.
no, 1979 to 1988.
Okay.
Uh, Personally, no use of computer at all. I worked for an aircraft company, a big aircraft company.
Okay.
Some of the design engineers probably had software and computers, but in the area I worked in, we wrote documents. You wrote it by hand. You gave it to a secretary, and she
Mm.
typed it up.
Okay.
Now, relative to my students, obviously, my students who are out there working in industry, there's a great use of computers, not only in communication, but a number of them work in the design area, so they use design software,
Yeah.
simulations, SolidWorks, various types of software that will allow them to, as you know, being a mechanical engineering student, to
Yeah.
calculate loads, stresses. Um, so also we have processing software that some of our other students and faculty use to simulate injection molding, the flow of material. So yes, in industry, it's a widely used tool. Computers are very powerful, uh,
So
powerful tool.
did using computers made your life easy?
Can you make your life easy?
Yes.
My view, and of course I'm an old timer, but it's a helpful tool. It allows you to do more work in a shorter amount of time.
Mhm.
Again, I'll use that word discipline.
Okay.
When it comes to these emails, the internets, and of course people have their personal time, that's their business, what they do. I like people. I like communicating with my past students and such, but there comes a point where there's just almost too much information out there. So again, you need to set aside a time to do certain things, and when you're done, move on. Um, it can help you do things, be more productive, yes. It can be entertaining, but at the same time, I think sometimes it's just too much information.
Yeah. And in now the new generation industries are using computer numerical control machines, right? Can you talk about that using computers?
In more modern times,
Yes.
again, probably not going to be able to add a lot to that, what I said previously, because from my own experiences, I don't have a lot. But, I talk to my graduates.
Mhm.
I watch technical shows on TV. I mean, computers are a powerful tool that can generate a lot of data
Yes.
in a small amount of time. You talk about mathematics, crunching numbers, helping to design. I'll give you an example, a good example. When I was a student here in the 1970s, we had a mold design class. Everything was done by hand.
Yes.
Drafting board. You say drafting board to a student now.
Yeah.
A T-square, triangles you drew with. Some kids look at you and smile. I think you learn a lot from doing it hands-on. When I went to school, that's how you did it.
Yes.
I have a brother that's a designer. I have colleagues, Mr. Paul Herring, who does a lot of design work, and I'll watch them. I understand basically what they're doing, but I mean, it's amazing.
Yes.
And they spend a lot of hard work learning this stuff, but it's amazing. The tool can speed up the process, and you can look at a part at different angles, and
Yes.
it's kind of awe-inspiring to me because I don't really work with it. That's not my area, but
Okay.
it's a very powerful tool that allows you to be more productive.
Mhm.
And the areas we deal with, are materials, processing, and we do have some design, part and mold design. But again, I see it from a different perspective because I don't teach those particular classes.
What type of feeling do you got when you feel advantages with these computers? How did you feel? Is it good or
Overall,
yeah, overall feeling of
the use of computers overall,
yeah.
again, overall, I mean, they're a good thing.
Mhm.
If we, it's made us more productive. It's, area I'm speaking of is technology,
Yes.
engineering technology, but I mean, the tool can be used in so many other areas.
Mhm.
Overall, it's a very good tool. Uh, I, again, don't use it beyond communication and producing my lecture material for my students. I write my own tests, that kind of thing. But I mean, it goes way beyond that. It's a very valuable tool. The only thing negative I
So
have to say about it again is that sometimes relative to the internet,
yeah.
internet's a separate thing. There's
Mhm.
too much information out there sometimes.
So what was the early technology like before using computers? How did you email your colleagues or how did you communicate with other employees?
Okay, this one I have a little problem on.
So how did you communicated with other employees before computers
Internet,
or yeah before internet or everything?
I guess it would be by phone
Okay.
and correspondence,
Yes.
land mail.
Okay.
And, I'm trying to think back to that time. You had people's phone numbers. You probably used the phone a lot more
Mhm.
to talk to people. So, and again, email can be convenient, but there's sometimes I think it's good to hear somebody's voice. And I
Okay.
realize you can have a system set up in your computer too where you can see them and talk to them. I don't have that.
Okay.
Basically, when you're emailing somebody, you're looking at verbiage print on your screen. So again, it can be an advantage. It's just how you use it.
So, what are your early perceptions of the technology?
I'm sorry.
What are your early perceptions of the technology?
I don't know on that one. That's kind of. I don't think I
Oh.
have enough background really to
Okay,
give you a good answer on that.
that's fine.
Is that the last
Um,
question on there?
Yeah, I prepared these questions.
This is a. Was that the question you asked me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. The last one.
no, this one.
Okay, I thought we already kind of went over. I'm sorry. What were my early perceptions of the technology?
Yes.
Fascinating, I guess. The word I'd
Okay.
say is fascinating.
Okay.
It was new.
Okay.
It was when it first came out. It's kind of exciting.
Okay.
Now we kind of take it for granted,
Okay.
you know. But
But
that's,
do you think this using computers brought revolution to the society?
brought what?
Revolution, new revolution to the society.
Oh, probably so. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Oh, in my experiences, I don't know if I can add anything to that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Okay.
Probably other than what I've already said, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for
That it?
thanks for your time. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.